Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. We have just a few more people we're letting in. Our agenda is up on our screen, and we will get started in just a minute. Alrighty, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are going to go through a quick introduction of myself, and then we will jump into our Learning Studio tool of the day, which is going to be Text Transformer. And then we're also going to discuss some ways to make further connections with the other tools within Chat for Schools so that you can start to really think about how you can use multiple tools for one purpose. So we'll go ahead and get started. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Feel free to unmute, and we will make sure we get answers for you. Everyone will receive the resources used today as well as a recording. So you can refer back to this and have some resources to help you get started or take things to the next level with your use of Chat for Schools. So let's get started. We'll get started with just myself introducing me. I am Jessica. I am in Wisconsin. So I hope it is not as rainy by you as it is here. It has been raining for what feels like forever. Before joining the team, I was an innovation coach and I taught computer science, 3D printing, creativity with the iPad. I also managed our school library and helped teachers integrate technology into the classroom. So definitely found a wonderful home here with Skillstruck to continue building off of all those things that I loved in my previous role. If you are new to joining the Skillstruck family, or maybe you're just kind of exploring our resources at the moment, here's just a couple of tidbits about Skillstruck. So we have been supporting schools since 2017 with computer science. We are across 37 states, really in the computer science field with K-12 students. And with that, we really started to think about how we can help schools navigate AI. And our current partners kind of leaned on us for some direction, and then came Chat for Schools. So a lot of our partners relied on us to kind of navigate this new world because we are able to make topics simple and approachable, like with our computer science. We are really big on encouraging students to develop skills like critical thinking, digital citizenship, all the things that come with computer science. And really that is lending itself nicely into how we approach AI with students, right? Not just teachers. And we're able to provide a high level of support and partnership. And we really have a good focus on our data privacy. And of course, we have integrations with tools you're already using. And so as we go through some of those today, you'll see some different export features, and we'll have some new things coming as well. So we are going to jump right into Learning Studio. We only have about 30 minutes together today, so we're going to jump right in. We have done multiple of these. So we have tackled some of these other tools already that you can also receive the recordings of. But today we are going to focus on Text Transformer. But with that, I'm also going to give you some ideas for using our lesson plan generator, our tutor creator, and our chat tool. So if you did miss some of the other Learning Studio webinars, we'll get a little bit of information on some of those tools today as well. So jumping into the Text Transformer. So there's a lot of different tools that can be utilized within our Learning Studio. We're going to focus on the Text Transformer to start today. With the Text Transformer, you're able to change the reading level, the language, you can shorten or lengthen a text, and some other features there. So we're going to kind of play around with that idea. And with this, there's so many things to bring in. There's so many things to try. And maybe the text transformer tool, you're a little hesitant to bringing in curriculum or different things. So I thought, let's do a low stakes introduction into this and an easy way to bring this into any classroom, even if it's just for like 10 minutes. So I've been really trying to work with our partners on how we can slowly bring this into classrooms without it being too scary, without it taking over all of your curriculum and things like that. And so when I thought about, okay, what's a cool way we could use this? I thought, well, how about current events? Something as a previous 7th grade teacher before I was even an innovation coach, was I love to bring in like 10 minutes of a current event once a week. And so I thought, okay, let me play around with the text transformer tool for this idea. And so with that, I thought, okay, well, what's a super cool, popular event coming up that our teachers could maybe really start to use this today, next week, or super, super quickly into their classroom? And so, of course, there's the solar eclipse coming. So I thought, let's kind of play around with this. Let me find some news articles for students out there and put them into the text transformer. So that's what I'm going to show you today. And then we're going to take it a step further and think about, okay, how can we use other tools to make this an even more robust experience about the solar eclipse for students? So that is what we're going to try today. So you are free to follow along with the Learning Studio components. So if you do have a Chat for Schools account or a demo account from any reps that you are working with, you're free to follow along with that. But I'm just going to go through these steps for you all today, live in action. So within the Chat for Schools portal, and what we've learned from these webinars over the past month or so is that not everyone has had the chance to explore things beyond just the chat tools. So I'll make sure you know where to find the text transformer. So when you're in your landing page for Chat for Schools, you'll see resources under My Classroom, under resources, and then of course the platform. We're going to start today by going into Learning Studio, which is where you will be able to find the text transformer. This is also where you'll be able to find the quiz, the writing assignment generator, the tool to remix assignments, lesson plan generator, and the tutor creator. And we'll dive into a couple of those later on with this idea of the solar eclipse. But first, the first step in this whole idea is to be using this text transformer tool. And so with this tool, you'll be able to create new ones or you'll be able to access your existing ones. But what you'll be able to do is when you go into the new category here, you'll be able to paste a piece of text in here, and then you can translate it to a variety of different languages. I believe there are 75 the last time I counted. You can level the text, so change the reading level for that. You can make the text shorter or longer, and then of course check for spelling. So what I'm going to do in here is I am going over and I'm copying this really long article about the 2024 solar eclipse, and I'm going to paste that in here. And my main goal right now is to just make this shorter, a little bit more to the point, summarize this a bit. I don't have too long to be going through this with students, so I'm going to just make this shorter. Another great option is to, of course, level that text. Sometimes with leveling that text, of course, it's going to be shorter in itself and bring that at the specific grade level that you are looking for. As soon as you've decided what you would like to do with the text transformer, you will click generate, and it will take a moment to bring this in. So you can see here, this took a very long article and made this much shorter for me. If I'm like, oh, actually, that's not as long as I would like it, copy and paste that in, make it a little bit longer, and so on. So what this is telling me is the upcoming solar eclipse on April 8th will be very special, lasting nearly 4.5 minutes, almost 2 minutes longer than the 2017 eclipse. And it will go through and give me a little bit of information on what is to be expected in that solar eclipse. Now, what you can do from here is you can simply copy and paste this into whatever other tool you are using. So you could put that into your Google Classroom. Maybe you can just copy and paste it into a Google Doc, display it. however you wish to really explore this text with students. So that text transformer tool is as simple as that. Just pasting in a piece of text and doing what you wish with that piece of text. You can, of course, use this with any curriculum or any pieces of text that you already have existing in all of your resources, taking things from current events, different things in there. But what I really want to go through then is, okay, let's say we made this text a little bit shorter for groups of students who can't really handle a longer text. Or let's say we leveled this text and made it a grade 5 level instead of a grade 8 level, right? We have this text that is now accessible to our different groups. But now what else could we do with this idea? So they've gathered some information from the text. Okay, now what? Or what could we have done before this with this tool in mind and the different resources that you can grab from Learning Studio? So a few things that I came up with that we'll go through is making further connections with our specialized tutor. We can generate a lesson plan for this solar eclipse activity, and we could also use the chat tool to create some icebreakers. So I'm going to go through these few other components as well for you to really think about how you could bring all of these tools for one activity really easily at your fingertips. So the other thing that I wanted to start off with was our tutor creator. So if you haven't explored the tutor creator yet, I very much so encourage you to. It is some of our users' most favorite part of Chat for Schools, and it's super fun. So when I went into Tutor Creator, you'll be able to create a new tutor or have an existing tutor. And for sake of today, I went in and made one already, so you can kind of see this. So I put in just teach students about the 2024 solar eclipse, a specific grade level, and then a persona for it to take. So I, of course, did Miss Frizzle, because if you're around, my age or older, maybe you remember Magic School Bus. And if you have seen any of those memes about like, oh, Miss Frizzle's like in my stomach or whatever. I don't know. There's a lot of funny stuff out there. So I decided to grab Miss Frizzle and have her talk about the 2024 solar eclipse. And what I really want to point out here is I put in a really simple sentence because I'm not trying to spend like tons and tons of time on the solar eclipse. It's potentially not even a part of a learning standard that I need my students to master. This is just for fun. But what I will tell you is that within this topic and learning materials, you are able to enter your specific learning standards for students that you want to help them master. You can put in a ton of text there. So if you want them to master multiple standards at once with this tutor, that's what you can enter there. And so I've had some great success making them with like 8th grade argumentative writing in mind. Really, this tool for writing is so cool and really helps students like develop characters and develop their claims and really be clear and concise with their writing. So if you're thinking of another way to use that, I encourage you to try that out with some specific writing learning standards in mind and kind of see how that interacts with. But I entered in just this quick 2024 solar eclipse. It came up with an introduction for me, some learning objectives, and any discussion questions. And then I exported this to my section, and we'll kind of see Ms. Frizzle a little bit in action with how she would engage with students regarding this topic. Another thing that you're able to do with the special instructions is put in any information. So if you want the tutor to ask specific questions to your students, or you want students to practice writing out what they've learned so far, you can put in some special instructions, and that tutor will make sure to bring those into their interactions with students. So we'll take a moment to see Miss Frizzle here within our tool. So Miss Frizzle is then, since I exported that, she will be available under specialized tutors. And she will engage with students regarding the 2024 solar eclipse. So I'm just going to be like, woohoo, yeah, let's get started. Maybe students will be like, I don't want to learn about this. And she's going to say, well, that's sad, but we're going to do it anyway. So the tutors are really good about handling students' objectives and bringing them back to the topic at hand and continuing to engage with them. So gonna give very vague responses here, and see kind of what she comes up with. So when you're in complete darkness, that's a creative guess. They're also super positive. They're always like, you're on the right track, but we need a little bit more information. Say, I don't know. So you can see how she'll continue to go back and forth and really dive into this idea, help students craft, help them dive into what they already know, and help them either formulate a thought on the solar eclipse. If they already knew what the solar eclipse was and they said, oh, when the moon and all of this, she'd be like, great. And now what's so special about the 2024 solar eclipse? And so there'll be a lot of good information, good back and forth, good posing of questions to really help students understand the topic at hand. And like I said, this is super great for writing, and they're a little relentless. The tutors will constantly ask questions and make sure that students are really understanding and giving some thought into their responses. So that's one way to take things a step further with something such as a current event with a solar eclipse. From there, you can also visit our chat tool. Just a plain generic chat tool, which is that kind of blank slate that you could really just ask it anything. And you could say, can you create a 10-minute icebreaker activity? Personally, I love when the icebreaker activities include movement. What you may have noticed about when I crafted this prompt here, I didn't just say create an icebreaker activity for the solar eclipse. I specified that I wanted it to be a certain amount of time, so just 10 minutes, the grade level for students, and something further like including movement. So if you are not too specific with your prompts, it will take you a few more tries to get what you need from the tool. Now you can continue to ask it questions, have it refine that. But if you put in the first specific prompt that is a little bit more specific, you'll get a better response. And those ideas are really shown here in our tips for writing prompts lessons for students and for teachers. So if you are new again to the tool, feel free to dive into some of those lessons and help get some help with crafting some great prompts. So this one is an eclipse dance. Okay, super cool. We're gonna need a music player, selection of upbeat music tracks. Sounds great. We're gonna do some groups. We're gonna do some dances on different stages of the eclipse. We're going to brainstorm and choreograph routines. Okay, this sounds super fun. Maybe I should copy and paste this into my slides from today so you all have it. But there's an easy way to get comfortable and start using the chat, creating an icebreaker activity for our solar eclipse. So when I'm thinking of this, maybe this is something I want to do right after students read that text that I transformed, or maybe I wanted them to do this before they read a piece of text. So kind of thinking about how you could bring all of these tools together. And then maybe you would dive into that specialized tutor. The last thing to kind of just expand on this, bring another tool into the mix, would be found in your Learning Studio under your lesson plan generator. So if you haven't played around with this, this is another tool. You could create a new lesson plan or revisit your existing ones. I already, for time purposes, plug this in today. So for an activity, you will select a grade level, an activity duration, what you want your subject matter to be on, and then any standards or concepts. So again, I just took a really simple sentence today, but you can fill this in with different standards and learning concepts that you have to teach students. Or you could put in something super simple like today. So if you're really thinking about ways to bring in different current events or just different topics of history, or holidays, or you're just thinking of one quick way to engage students a little bit differently, this is a great tool to have at your fingertips. So if you're trying to think of different bell ringers or just different things to bring in and you don't quite have all the time, but you don't also want to copy and paste tons of standards into here, this is an easy way to bring this in. So with our activity generator, It will provide you with materials that you will need, an introduction, and then it will break things up into your activity steps along with a conclusion. Now, some of these tools that I've shown you today are able to be printed or copy and pasted, but other ones such as your specialized tutor can be exported to Canvas. If we're generating a quiz or a writing assignment that we didn't go into today, those are also able to be exported to your different integrations. So Google Classroom, Canvas, Schoology is coming. So there are some things that are just for your resource as an educator, but of course there's things that you can export to your students as well. So just wanted to put that out there also. So with this lesson plan, it's going to give you some ideas for the 2024 solar eclipse. So that was a lot of information in a very short amount of time. I'm going to take a moment to check the chat here and see if I need to answer anything. All right, I see my friend Sarah is doing a great job answering questions for me. All right. Right now, we do not have the images being generated into these tools yet. All right. Any other questions? So really what we hope that you got out of today is how to simply use that text transformer tool and how you can think about using multiple different of our tools at once to support one topic. So moving forward, of course, like taking the solar eclipse out of this, we really encourage you to explore all of the components of Learning Studio and really think about how you can create a quick icebreaker activity, generate a lesson plan, create a specialized tutor, and have all of these tools to really combine and make your different experiences for not only you, the teacher, but for your students as well as a robust learning experience with the AI tools. We really want to encourage students getting in there and interacting with the tutor or the chat tool to really learn about topics at hand, which is why we try to put all of these connections together. Any other questions? You can adjust anything after it's generated, not just the text, not just the lesson plan, but when you go into your Learning Studio, as soon as things are generated, you'll be able to go into these different topics and you'll be able to edit them before like printing or exporting them at all. So even with a specialized tutor, if you're like, oh, I really like the idea of Miss Frizzle, but she didn't quite get her personality all the way, I want to add in a couple of different introduction sentences, you're able to toss that in. So you're able to edit these different components as soon as they generate. All right, see some great questions. I love this. So that is such a great question, actually, and something to be super mindful of. So when you are in your Skillstruck account, I'm just going to go through, if you didn't see the question in the chat, how to limit students to only accessing a tutor. So under My Classroom, there is the students section. This is where you are able to manage your students. You're able to see all of their chat history, any flagged items, but you're also able to lock and unlock their access. So you can simply do this for your section as a whole, or you can go by each individual student and you can click that lock icon. You'll be able to lock access for a specified amount of time. And then down here where it says, which resources do you want to lock? You're able to just lock one or both. But you'd be able to lock the chat mode and then keep tutor mode unlocked. So if you're like, this is a great opportunity for my students to interact with tutors, I don't want them to be distracted by that chat mode, you can lock down that chat mode and just have tutor mode, and students will only be able to access the tutor mode. Now, if you have everything locked, students will simply get a screen that says like you're locked and a countdown for how long they're locked for. So that is how you can simply lock that chat mode for them and have them just interacting with that tutor mode. The other component that I didn't share with you with that tutor creator is if you go under your existing tutors, you're able to export that to specific sections. So if Miss Frizzle isn't appropriate for all of your students because you teach multiple different grade levels and you know your 8th grade students are going to laugh at that, you're able to only export that to the sections that you would like that tutor to be accessed to as well. And taking that a step further also is if you start really collaborating with different educators within your district, you're able to share any tutors that you create. So if you do have like one person in charge of a current event tutor and one person in charge of the math tutors for the week, you could all, create your different tutors and share them out with each other. You simply provide them with the shareable link and they can export it to their sections also. All right. Just trying to catch up on the chat. Happy to have Sarah here. I go back and forth before I save, export the lesson.
If I'm understanding it correctly, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'd be happy to show this in action. Let's just do our topic here.
Oh, yeah. And thank you for all your questions. She said too, can I redo it? Redo the lesson generator? Yes.
Yes. So with our generation, so we'll see it generating here. And then you will see what it comes up with on the right-hand side. You are able to edit the different sections before you do anything with it. So before you print it, before you export it, and this is for all the different resources as well. And if you go down, also, so if you go over here, you can go in and you can edit the different components. And then if you're like, actually didn't really like this one at all, you can just generate that again. I'm not sure why that isn't properly working at the moment, but you should be able to regenerate that lesson plan. So on a lot of the materials here, and this may be a little thing that we need to talk about to our team, there is a regenerate button on the resources generated. All right.
Hi, this is Anne. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a room full of people and we are wondering, we're not getting clarification around this. So if we get this lesson right here,
Yes.
then what we could do then is if we didn't like it completely, we could just copy and paste it back into over on the left-hand side and say, please add, more detail or, take out this step or that sort of thing.
Yeah, and something that is, since I'm being like very generic here, is probably not the best example to be showing you all, but within the standards or concepts, like you can put in any like special instructions, any more like tailored information that you want to be generated. So if you're like, I don't want this to include many materials, I want this to be specifically on these 3 standards, I want this to last 30 minutes, like you can put in a little bit more constraints there into that standards or concepts tool to kind of get a more tailored response. And there will be like a regeneration feature. I'm not sure where that button is, Sarah. I know that normally is there, so might be a little bug. And the other thing to kind of keep in mind as well is the free chat, the like chat tool within the Lessons Chats Tutors mode is also super great at generating these activities. So if you were to put in something like create a 30-minute plan for me for the solar eclipse or for whatever concept you're working on, this is a really good like back and forth environment. So if you were like, okay, I really like this, but I don't want to use music or I want to include art materials, this is a really good back and forth space. You can also say like, please create another one. And so if you're really wanting to kind of collaborate with the tool a bit more to really tailor something towards your needs, I encourage that chat tool to be utilized. And I will check on that regenerate. And we can get back to you after the webinar, Anne. All
Thank
right.
you.
Yes, of course. Super great questions. If there's nothing else, you're free to hop off. If you have some more questions, we will hang out for a moment.